On the warm-up problem, you're going to have to start inside the brackets, and then once you're inside the brackets, you have to go to the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, you're going to have 9 minus 7 is 2, squared is 4, times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11, plus 6 is 17. So when you do 6 times 17, you're going to come up with 102. You're going to add that with 4 and subtract this 6 to get an answer of 100. On the top part, you're going to have 2 plus 1 is 3, squared is 9, times 3 is 27, plus 9 is 36. And on the bottom, 8 plus 28 is 36, so the answer should be 1. In the parentheses, you'll have 18 minus 16, which is 2. And you'll square that 2 to get 4. Multiply it by 6 to get 24. This is 25. And when you add 4 to both of those, you will get 53. The winning number today is 1. Before you come up with your homework, the directions on the paper said specifically, show all work and answers on notebook paper. If you have all your work and answers on notebook paper, then come up. If you do not, you can make it up late and put it in the basket tomorrow. We have 19 out of 23 with homework, which is what percent? 83%. Here are the homework answers. I have it all on one sheet of paper, and we'll zoom in here to the top. Your expressions for this should be x plus 6, x plus 4, x plus 11, and 2x plus 12. Remember, for this last one, it says that this one Peter has 10 less than double George. 10 less than double George. Here is George, x plus 11. If you double that, it's 2x plus 22. And if you take 10 away from that to get Pete's stuff, then you have 2x plus 12. On your test, I'll show you what I did here in this white space. For example, if the expression had to be x plus 6, and you wrote x plus 12 minus 6, I took off 25 and only gave you 25 out of 50, because we always simplify this down to just one thing. And you'll get your test back here in just a few minutes. So if you had all these expressions, set it equal to 153, and solve down for 20 for x. But that's not the end of the problem. You have to go back to each person and plug in 20 for their expression. So you should have had 26 for Joe, 20 for Greg, 24 for John, 31 for George, 52 for Pete. The answers we are only concerned with today for your extra points, and each one is going to be worth 5 points. If you get them both, it's 10. If you get none of them, it would be 0, but it's only extra points. If you have the bonus down here, remember it said for everything over 30, they would receive $1.50 for every apple over 30. So in this problem, unlike the one we did last week, you must find the difference between what they have and 30. In this case, it's 1. So they have $1.50 for George. Pete had 52, so he had 22 over 30. Multiply that to get $33. When you come up here to show me the points you have, you're either going to have 0, which if that's the case, you don't have to come up at all. You're going to have 5, or you're going to have 10. Again, you must have this one right to get 5, and this one right to get another 5. Have them both right, it's 10. Here's the work and the answers from the test. On problem A, I don't have these numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4. This is just problem A. You should have, for your expressions, x plus 26, x plus 10, x plus 38. Now remember, like I told you before, if you had something like x plus 2 minus 5, I only gave you 25 points because we always simplify that. If you solve your equation, you should get 70. 70 is not the answer to the entire problem, so we have to go through and find each one. So the first one is 96, second one is x, so that is 70. Third one is 80. The fourth one is not 118, it should be 108. I snapped a picture of everything before I went back and fixed it. Are there any questions about problem A? Problem B. You should have x plus 6, x minus 4, x plus 11. Set it all equal to 213. Solve for 50. And plug that back in to get Joe is 56, Sarah is 50, Greg is 46, and Julie is 61. Problem C. X plus 6, x minus 1, and x plus 9. Set all that equal to 134, solve for 30, and find out that Justin is 36, Patrick 30, Cody 29, and Gary is 39. Extra credit referred back to problem A, and all those who were over 100 had a bonus for every mile above 100. Now again, I have to fix this and make that 108, and 108 minus 100 is simply going to be 8. So 8 times 35 cents is $2.80. If you had just the word no or some indication that they did not get the bonus, that's 25 points each. And of course, so is this one. So you could have had 100 extra credit points for 1,100 out of 1,000 if you didn't miss anything else. A and A plus test papers from yesterday. Ruark, Johnson, McDame, Bartley, Bruton, Hellier, Kleiber, Carver, Hammond, Bailey, Armstrong, Baldridge, Spradlin, Garrett, and Haskins on his very first day, a 975 out of 1,000. Today's Common Core objective: creating equations that describe numbers or relationships. It's still the same thing, only we're going to have more items to find. Here's example 1. A coach must pick two-player practice teams based on how many points are scored in one game. So if he's picking two very small practice teams that each have 2 players on them, how many players is he dealing with? How many? 4. 4 players, right. Of the 4 players that will be chosen, Joe had 9 more than Jeff, Greg has 6 less than Joe, and John had 1 less than Greg. So which one of those is going to be the one that we absolutely know nothing about? Jeff. Joe had 9 more points than Jeff, and there's nothing in this problem that lets me know anything about Jeff. It doesn't say that Jeff had 6 more than somebody or 2 less than somebody. So we know nothing about Jeff. So we're going to start with the first 2 there. And that's going to be, there we go, yellow. We'll start with Joe and Jeff. So Jeff is X, and Joe had 9 more than Jeff. So what's Joe? X plus 9. So we move on in the problem and find out that Greg has 6 less than Joe. Joe is x plus 9, and Greg has 6 less. We don't put in x plus 9 minus 6. What do we put in? X plus 3 is right. And then John had 1 less than Greg. If John has 1 less than Greg, Greg is x plus 3. And 1 less would give us what expression? X plus 2. Alright, so that is John. So plus, plus, and plus. The total points scored by all 4 players in one game is 62. So from here we know once we have this bit of information we can solve for what everybody has. And we'll do that in white. How many x's are there? We have 4 x's, and 9 plus 3 is what? 12 plus 2, 14. 4x plus 14 equals 62. What do I do with the 14? Subtract it from the right side. What is 62 minus 14? 48. And then what do I do to 48? To get what? 12. Okay. So we have Joe and Jeff, Greg, John. We need to go back and figure out what each person has. So if x is 12 and Joe is x plus 9, how many points did Joe have? 21. Jeff is x, so how many points did he have? Greg is x plus 3, what's his?
15.
And John is x plus 2, what's his? 14. The 2 teams will be picked by placing the highest scorer with the 3rd highest scorer. And the next team will be the 2nd scorer with the lowest scorer. So we know we have to deal with high score, low score, 2nd, and 3rd. What should we do with all these scores for Joe, Jeff, Greg, and John before we do anything? Order them, yes. So who had the most? Joe, he's 1. And who's next?
Greg.
And 3rd? John, so that puts Jeff at 4th. So remember, once again, the 2 teams will be picked by placing the highest score with the 3rd one. So team 1 is going to consist of Joe, and then the 3rd one is John, so they're both team 1. And the 2nd and the last place are on the 2nd team. So this would be team 2 for Greg and Jeff. All right. What are the 2 teams and how many points does each player have? We've already answered that. All right. Next, also the coach will give candy bars for each point over 14 that is scored in the game. Who earned the candy bars and how many did they earn? So first, we'll switch to this color here. Who earned the candy bars because they scored more than 14? Carver.
Joe and Greg.
Joe and Greg. All right. So we'll slide over this way a little bit. And I'm changing from blue to white for some strange reason. But we'll stay with it, though. Now they're getting 3 candy bars per point over 14. Joe has 21 points. How many points over 14 did he score? 7. How many candy bars does he get per point? 3. So what do I do with 7 and 3? Multiply. How many candy bars did Joe get? 21 candy bars. Yeah, the information came from in the problem. 3 candy bars for each point over 14. So when we came over here, we know that Joe which has disappeared on me. No, it hasn't. I just didn't go far enough. Joe has 21 points, and 14 was the minimum. So the difference between 21 and 14 is 7. That's how many points over 14 Joe had. And he gets 3 candy bars per point over 14, so that's why we have to multiply 7 by 3. And he ended up with 21 candy bars. Oh, that was bad. I've hit the wrong button, but it's too late now. There we go. We'll try that. Who was the other one that earned the candy bars? Greg. How many points did Greg have? So how many points over 14? 1 times 3 is 3 candy bars. Try this problem and make sure you show your work neatly on notebook paper, and then if you have any answers you can transfer them over to the smaller paper. There is a race with 5 people. Casey ran the race in 5 fewer minutes than Tracy. Julie ran the race 5 minutes longer than Casey. Mary Ann ran it in 6 fewer minutes than Tracy. Jennifer took 8 more minutes than Mary Ann. The total time for everyone is 1:41. There is a bonus for anyone with a time less than 20 minutes at $12 per minute for every minute under 20. If that bonus is not met by a runner, then there is a bonus of $6 per minute for every minute under 30. In what order did the runners finish the race? And what were the bonuses earned, if any, by the runners?